Hey there and welcome to a Monster Hunter video. So of course you know by now that Capcom dropped a huge surprise at the state of play and everyone's going crazy talking about Monster Hunter Wilds. So I decided to add to the hype and have a little speculation and discussion around the trailer and what we could be expecting in 2025. If you by any chance didn't watch the trailer, I'll leave a link in the description, so pause this video and go watch it. I'll be right here. Okay, all done? Right. Let's get on with the video. So a lot of people have been going on about the sand ship, and as someone who has only played since Monster Hunter World, naturally I'm like, why? It seems like in the older Monster Hunter games, they had the same type of sand ships where you could fight an elder dragon in an epic ship versus whale fight, which I guess could be in comparison to the Zora Magdaros fights in World, but just on a sand ship. These could be the types of Elder Dragons Monster Hunter Wilds could reintroduce with all the open sand areas the new game seems to have. So in the trailer we've been introduced to some new characters, and I can already tell you this game is going to be good just based off of the new handler we've been introduced to. This time our first impression of the handler isn't stuffing herself with a huge amount of food. We also get introduced to our new blacksmith as well as some other characters related to the story. Also, I'm not sure if you noticed, but our Palico actually speaks as well as our player character, which tells us that this game will most likely have our hunter fully voiced as well as our Palicos. This is doubly cool because I've recently started watching the Monster Hunter Stories anime, and it's really cool to actually hear the Palico speaking instead of reading their speech like in the older Monster Hunter games. This also gets me thinking about how involved our character and Palico creation will be, and if we will be able to choose from a different variety of voices, which I'm hoping will be the case. So it seems that this time around Monster Hunter will be making things a bit more story focused. Not saying that the previous games didn't have a story, but I think Wilds will be having a more direct focus on characters and dialogue. I know with World and Rise, it was more related to what was happening with the world or what was happening with a particular village, but it's nice to see that they are willing to change that to have a more character focus this time around. This pond, don't get me started on this pond. Look, I know everyone who sees this part of the trailer just goes straight to the new monster, but me, no. That water just looks way too good. I mean, look at those ripple effects, it's so good. Anyway, just seeing this gave me so much ease that the graphics of this game will be on a really solid level. But yes, we do have a new amphibian monster. Already a good thing, because in World we didn't really have any amphibians, meaning there will be a couple of new skeletons for monsters, which doubly means maybe a bigger monster pool than World even, and maybe of a wider variety as well. Just like how later we have a water like lizard, like, you know, Leviathans, you know, like Legiacris or something. Okay, so we've reached the peak of the trailer. And no, not the herd of Karatanoth. Look, it's a baby puke, or whatever you call it. Okay, maybe not a baby puke, but I'd like to believe it is. I mean, can you imagine bigger monsters with smaller versions of themselves just chilling next to them as you approach them
and rip them away from their children so you can wear them as your next pair of pants?
Okay, sorry, that got really dark really quickly, but anyway, it would really add so much more immersion to monster hunting. I think the Slinger is something not enough people are talking about. I think a lot of people have just been saying that they are happy that it's not the clutch claw, but what really is the new Slinger mechanics? Yes, we can see that we can now pull things from a distance while riding our new mounted monster, but what else could we expect from the Slinger? There's this rope or string that shoots out and helps us reach things, so that maybe could be used as a grapple of some sort. Maybe something that could pull or grapple onto monsters. Trust me, I don't want another clutch claw as much as the next hunter, but I'm sure that what we see in this trailer isn't the extent of the new Slinger mechanics. Now here is something that is quite interesting. bigger monsters being able to fling smaller monsters. In Monster Hunter World, this was only something that Devil Joe could do, which is interesting that now monsters of smaller sizes will be able to do something of similar ability. This brings up the question of what else will monsters be able to interact with? If they can pick up smaller monsters, would monsters now be able to use things like boulders, maybe logs, maybe even use environmental traps against the hunter? This is a really cool feature. Just a whole lot of little guys jumping onto a bigger guy. Things like this will really make the game so much more immersive and give the world a lot more life. The question is, and I've been wondering ever since the first reveal of this game, will our hunter be able to mount the monsters like in Monster Hunter World? I feel like mounting a monster is such a satisfying feature. Just seeing one constantly on my screen just gives you the sense of thrill, doesn't it? On a more serious note, I feel like it really fits into the more grounded theme of Wilds, just like how World was also a more grounded Monster Hunter game. This is probably the biggest break in Monster Hunter features in a game. Yes, we will be able to carry 2 whole weapons with us during a hunt. Granted, we will only be able to swap when we have our mounted monster nearby. This brings a whole new world of possibilities to the way people hunt and create builds for themselves. Speaking of builds, this brings up the question, how complex will skills be? If Monster Hunter Wilds follows the same way Monster Hunter World handles decorations, this means we will need to accommodate skills for 2 weapons instead of 1. This will make decoration farming a whole lot more complicated than before, unless they follow the Rise approach, where we have to craft our decorations, which I wasn't really a fan of. But either way, the way we think of building our armor sets and skills will be very different in this game than previous Monster Hunter games. I think it's safe to say that focus mode will be the new gimmick of Monster Hunter Wilds. Just like Clutch Claw in World and Silk Skills / Wirebugs in Rise, this will be adding a lot of new combat when hunting monsters. It's too bad they only showcased Greatsword. You know, as a charge blade main, I would like to see what they're cooking. You see, on the Monster Hunter site, they state this about focus mode. Focus mode allows you to aim your attacks and guard abilities. You can also use focus mode to pinpoint monster weaknesses, which can be targeted with special new attacks that will deal big damage, but making it easier to space yourself and aim your attacks during hunts. Focus mode will make it even easier for players of all stripes to get in on the hunting action. So I would like to focus on the guard abilities. I'm guessing this enhances most guarding type of stances, like how we had at the end of this trailer with the Greatsword. I'm wondering how much of an impact will this have with weapons that focuses a lot on guarding, like gun lance, sword and shield, and lastly charge blade. I'm sure it won't be flashy like how it was in Monster Hunter Rise, but just curious if they would implement certain combos to something like a charge blade guard point, or something even a parry like move with the shield. Just wanted to point out, looking at the backdrop of this fight, you can see a lot of detail in the background with the lightning and the rocks in the distance. There has always been this notion of Monster Hunter Wilds being this completely open world game, but I don't think we have gotten any real evidence of that being the case. I mean, sure, the areas will most likely be massive, but there has been no hints to open world just yet, according to the trailer anyway. According to the Monster Hunter site, each hunting locale features an environment with 2 dynamically changing identities, one in which the region is harsh and unforgiving, where ravenous monsters fight for limited resources, and another in which the region is vibrant and brimming with life. Changes in the environment also means changes for the monsters and wildlife that live there, so you'll be running into new surprises around every corner. They mention the word locale, which usually means an area of some sorts. I mean, sure, this could mean a locale within an open world, but again, that hasn't been explicitly confirmed. And that pretty much wraps up all my speculations from the new Monster Hunter trailer. Now to wait for the Summer Game Fest, where Capcom will be releasing more information on Monster Hunter Wilds, and hopefully a lot of the speculations I presented here will be answered. If you enjoyed the video and would like to support me, like the video and maybe click that subscribe button. Did you have similar thoughts about the new game like I did? Leave your comments and speculations below. I'd love to discuss Monster Hunter Wilds with fellow hunters. Well, it's time to wrap it up, and I'll see you next time. See ya!